right, well, for those of you who don't know who I am Professor Gold, business faculty member here at the Dale Mabry campus, and I'm so excited, for the turnout today, but also to kick off our fall season of speaking engagements that we're going to have here, themed around entrepreneurship, innovation, and the purpose of these, which I've told my students, but I'll just share with everybody else. The purpose of all that we're doing here with these kinds of events is to try to build bridges between our college and the community and all the amazing things going on in the community, both at the government level and in the private sector. We have some awesome people doing some amazing things related to startups, related to contributing to our economic welfare in our community. And I can just tell you that I've only lived in Florida for 1 year, and I've spent a good part of that year teaching, obviously, but also out in the community trying to meet folks like this. And I am just overwhelmed with the amount of entrepreneurial sort of spirit that exists within the community. And I'm so happy as an entrepreneur to live in a community that has all of that stuff. So today we're going to start out with a topic themed around resources for aspiring or existing entrepreneurs. We have lots of folks in the community who do many different things for folks engaged in small business. I'm going to turn it over right now to Commissioner Mark Sharpe, who's a county commissioner, somebody who has invested a lot of his own personal time and resources, both personally and at the county level, into sort of building the infrastructure for entrepreneurship to blossom in the community. And then he'll have all the other panelists introduce themselves. We'll have a little talk here and then open it up to questions. All right, so thank you everybody for coming in. Let's give everybody here a welcome.
Well, my name is Mark Sharpe. I'm a Hillsborough County Commissioner. I've been in government since 2004, and the focus of the county and my focus has been on trying to find a way to help transform Tampa Bay from a service economy to a high-wage, tech-driven economy. And we've looked at many things, we've been involved in many activities, and what we've found is that there is an entrepreneurial spirit that is sweeping across America. And you're finding it really on college campuses like here at HCC. And I want to thank Susie Hawley. She tells me she's the president of HCC, so I'm honored to have
No, I don't.
No, she doesn't. But you've got a phenomenal president, Dr. Atwater, who is dynamic and driven. And I've never met a man with more energy and more excitement. And so I want to thank Susie, and I want to thank the entire administration and this amazing group of students and others who are really interested in entrepreneurship for being here. Normally we have our coffee. We have a coffee at Buddy Brew. You're always invited. We do it Fridays, 9 a.m., and we talk tech. We talk startups. And I got a wide-ranging group. Some of them are sitting here. Others are out in the audience who will come. And many of them are venture capitalists. They are serial entrepreneurs. They organize events like Bar Camp, which is next Saturday at the University of South Florida. Joel Lopez, please raise your hand. Joel is the organizer for Bar Camp, where you're going to find a bunch of really smart techies and coders from all over. We'll have probably 1,000 people.
We'll probably have 700, 800, but yeah.
1,000 people who'll be there. And
Commissioner Sharpe, he said free food and drinks.
oh, yeah.
And free t-shirts.
Yeah.
So it's at USF, yeah. So about 8 in the morning till about 5 in the evening.
Yeah, I mean, what is happening is really truly amazing, and we got some incredible people who are going to introduce themselves and talk about what they're doing and all the resources that are available. But I just wanted to say that usually I start off with I'm from the government and I'm here to help, and truly as a government employee, oftentimes we can slow things up, we can make things more difficult, we can make things more challenging, and our goal and objective is to do the opposite. It's to fire an entrepreneurial spirit across Tampa Bay so that when people think about where they're going to go and start their business and scale it up in a way that where they're going to make a lot of money and change the world, rather than thinking you got to go to Silicon Valley, which is not a bad place to be, or San Francisco, or Boston, or Austin, or Salt Lake, or Raleigh, or any of those other communities, what you're going to find is it's happening right here in Tampa Bay. There's a tremendous amount of resources. There's a lot of people who are committed to making this work, and we're going to start with to my right. We have a gentleman from the University of South Florida. He'll introduce himself, and we'll kind of work our way this way, and we'll talk about all the great things that are happening right here in Tampa Bay. So thank you all.
All right.
Bill.
Thank you, Mark. You probably don't remember this, but a couple of months ago, I was sitting in a room in a seminar that you were one of the presenters, and this was at the Florida Economic Development Council in Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
And you and a couple of other panelists were in there, and I found out at that time that you had passed. I think you retired military. Is that correct? Navy. And I think we maybe have another panelist that's a veteran. Okay. And in the audience, we have other veterans. Well, I want to not only thank all of you that that served in the armed forces for helping to protect our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, but also without the freedom to pursue free enterprise and entrepreneurship, having a meeting like this wouldn't be possible. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you.
As Mark mentioned, I'm with the Small Business Development Center at USF, and I'm an associate director there. Just a quick poll of the audience. How many of you are familiar with or have heard of the Small Business Development Centers? If you would just raise your hand. Okay, I have my work cut out for me today. All right, well, as the name implies, we do work with small businesses at any stage. It doesn't matter whether you're at the pre-venture or the startup stage, or whether you're you've already launched and you're a micro business, which we define as being in business for less than 3 years and having less than 5 employees, or whether you are a small to medium enterprise, which could be all the way up to as many as 500 employees. So some of you may be shocked to hear that a business with 500 employees would be considered a small business, but oftentimes they are. But we provide one-on-one consultation services at no charge, and let me repeat that, at no charge to entrepreneurs and small businesses in the Tampa Bay area. We cover a 10-county footprint all the way over to the center of the state, down into Manatee, Sarasota, up into Pasco and Hernando. So that gives you an idea of the service area that we cover, gives you a little bit of an idea of the of what we do day to day working with small businesses and entrepreneurs.
Cool, thank you. Our next speaker comes from the Tampa Bay Wave. This is a really cool group that is sitting at the Sykes building, doing a lot of neat things with some cool companies. I want you to introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Okay, so my name is Deborah Neff, and I am Director of Operations for the Tampa Bay Wave First Wave Venture Center. Like Commissioner Sharpe said, we are located in the Sykes building in downtown Tampa on the 2nd floor. Tampa Bay Wave is a nonprofit organization that was created to assist entrepreneurs build, launch, and grow their tech ventures. What we were able to do with the assistance of an IE6 federal grant, and then now we've actually are in the process of receiving an EDI-2 grant from the Hillsborough County as well. We were able to create the actual First Wave Venture Center, which is a co-working space as well as a place that we utilize for educational classes and all kinds of fun stuff happens there actually. But out of the center, we also operate an accelerator program. So if you have an idea that you would like some assistance with, we accept applications, and actually you can be in pretty much any stage, whether it's early on, you kind of put a bit of thought into it, but you need assistance kind of getting it going and building. You can go ahead and apply, or say you actually have a product and you have a startup and you do even have a couple clients and you still need a little assistance getting to the next level. You can apply. Say you have a pretty good base of clients, but you're ready to do that. You're looking for that big breakthrough. You can still apply, and we're here to help. And if you're accepted into the accelerator program, we provide mentors, which I see a mentor in the room right now. And we have a staff of interns that will assist you to build, launch, and grow that your venture as well. So come and visit us. It's a lot of awesome going on.
Bob Francis, would you kind of raise your hand so people can see? Bob is a mentor with Tampa Bay Wave, and he also serves on a board that we've created. It's the EDI2 governing board, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the EDI2. It's a $2 million fund that the county has put together, and originally my thought was we would be giving this money as seed capital to small startup ideas. And some great mentors who come and visit me for coffee said, look, what we really need to do, rather than giving money to small businesses, because government really shouldn't be picking winners and losers, is focusing on events and activities where, like this, where people come together and can talk and meet and come up with cool ideas or collaborate. And really, it's just to kind of give oxygen to the entrepreneurial activity that's going on in your community. So the Board of County Commission approved in February the EDI2 program. If you go online and you look up, just Google EDI2, you will find our program. And if you've got a cool idea, I mean, I know that Joel has gone for funds. It's $25,000 or less. We hope that you have a track record. But if you have a neat idea that you think can help promote the startups in this community, what I would suggest that you do is go to our webpage, fill out the application. It'll be reviewed by our administrator, and then it'll be reviewed by a board of 5. And if they approve it, you walk away with cash. Well, you have to actually do your event, give us some receipts, and then, you know, we're the government, so we need lots of paperwork. But then once it's all done, you can have your capital and then go on and do some other cool things. So thank you, Bob, for serving. All right, we have a student from the University of Tampa. We've been at a different college.
I just want to
Andy.
say one
Yes, sir.
thing about Tampa Bay Wave. We've partnered with them as well here at HCC to form a student internship program for students that track through our entrepreneurship program. They've been awesome. It's a great connection for students to apply what we're talking about in the classroom, in the real world, working with real startups, doing stuff on the ground, and learning what you're learning in theory, whether or not it actually applies in practice. So it's a great partnership, and it's working really well so far, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. You guys have done a phenomenal job of outreach. This is really exciting. Phil is a student. Raise your hand, Phil. Right there. Phil is a student from the University of Tampa. Have you graduated?
I'm currently an MBA student at University of Tampa.
And we met him. He was sitting at our table, round table conversation, something similar to this, not quite as many people. And he was talking about this idea that he has, which he's going to tell you about, and the fact that he needed some capital. And we just happened to have a serial entrepreneur and VC sitting right there, and she hooked you up. How much money did she help you raise?
I think that's not to be disclosed right now.
Oh, so we're not to disclose it, but it's a lot of money. Phil, why don't you go ahead and tell them about yourself and what you're doing?
Sure, I'm a University of Tampa MBA student, and Commissioner Sharpe and Dr. White of the UT Entrepreneurship Center have really thrived on the passion that they've driven into the students at University of Tampa. And I can tell you that the entrepreneurship program changed my life. And if anyone thought that you couldn't go into entrepreneurship because you were a non-business major, I'm proof that you can. I was a pre-med student, and so if anyone's interested in speaking about that, I'm more than happy to explain how you can learn from my mistakes that I made and how you can really thrive on entrepreneurship. And the University of Tampa actually hosts the Collegiate Entrepreneurship Organization Regional Conference every year. It's the largest collegiate entrepreneurship organization in the nation. And so if you want to speak about that and how we can talk about more opportunities for student entrepreneurs, I'm here for you. And what Commissioner Sharpe was talking about was a venture that a team and I brought together for social good, social enterprises. So a business that is not for-profit nor non-profit, but one in between, known as a social enterprise. So if anyone's interested in learning more about that, I'd be happy to speak about it.
Can you tell us about your project? You traveled you told everybody else. You've been to Hong Kong, Singapore, you've been everywhere. You can tell us a little bit, can't you?
So our founder is a colleague of mine, and he brought a team together. We're known as Ambrosia, and Ambrosia was the divine food and drink of the Greek gods in mythology. And so we provide food and social innovation for developing nations, emerging markets, BOP, base of the pyramid markets, all around the world, and we flew to Haiti to try and implement our pilot program. We were also in a competition in Hong Kong. I hate talking about myself.
I think what the students also really like to hear is the story, like how you might have come up with that idea, what unmet need did you identify,
Sure.
a problem that you viewed as an opportunity, and so on and so forth.
So I was a pre-med student at University of Tampa and started working for the New York Yankees and realized that medicine wasn't my route. I joined the UT Entrepreneurship Association and it changed my life. I was a finalist for ABC Shark Tank, and I've realized that entrepreneurship is where I want to be. I'm a self-improvement junkie, and if you're an entrepreneur that has that same passion and you're interested in freedom, like Bill was talking about earlier, this is the route you want to take. So I can tell you that your ideas are a dime a dozen. The difference between an entrepreneur that creates a business as a student and one that just has ideas is the hard work and effort you put into turning that idea, regardless of what that idea is, into a feasible, viable business. And this program that they're offering you is going to help you do that. It's really exciting.
We have another student, and we're going to go to Ty, who's I can't wait to hear your story. And he's a Navy man, so you know what, you did good, Andy. But I got I've got a student who's in the back, Louis Baptista. Louis, why don't you raise your hand? Louis is also a student entrepreneur. He's got a cool concept that he's been out getting funding for, traveling all. I don't know if it's top secret as well. If I can tell people, I was an intel guy in the Navy, and I was pretty good at keeping secrets. Kind of good at keeping secrets.
All right, so just tell Mark and we won't listen.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You all have clearances, right? Everybody's cleared. We're all friends here. But Louis has got a cool project as well. You'll be hearing more about his company, Indino. So if you want to find out about Indino, just go online and you'll see some exciting things coming from this guy. Ty,
Yes. Thank you.
tell us about yourself, sir.
How's everybody doing today? All right, good. How many of you want to be an entrepreneur? All right. What would you find that the biggest problems that you haven't been able to make the jump to entrepreneurship is? Funding? Meeting the right people. Anybody else?
Knowledge, knowing what you need to know.
Sure. So all those three problems I dealt with myself, right? So as Commissioner Sharpe said, I was in the Navy, and I got out of the Navy in 2003, and I got into the automotive industry. And I was young, I was 22 years old, and I really didn't know what I was doing, right? I didn't know anything about the automotive industry. I just was in it to make some money and hustle, right? Because that's what we want to do. We want to provide for a family and grow and buy a house, right? So I found myself married, bought a house, and had a kid by the age of 23, right? And now I said, well, this is going to be my career forever, because of 2004, 5, 6, 7, the automotive industry was booming and you can make some money, right? And then the economy went, right? And so everything that I had worked so hard for was getting taken away, because now I was working more hours, having a family, and at the same time not being able to make the money that I used to make. So I found myself frustrated, right? But I had no background in technology. I had no background in the community of support, mentors, and things like that, right? And the knowledge as well. But I found myself constantly reading blogs and learning and asking questions and just finding myself, challenging myself to what I wanted to do. So in 2010, I told my wife, I was like, listen, I'm gonna get out of this career of mine. I don't have a college education, but I'm gonna get out of this career and I'm gonna build applications and I'm gonna go into the tech world, right? So I don't know how many of you have partners or married or spouses or whatnot. When you tell your wife that, right, she's like, she didn't work, right? She's never worked she's worked with the kids, but she don't work to make money, right?
She works.
She works harder than I could never do it. So I give her a lot of credit for that, right? Now, I'm also gonna tell you too, I left my job June 10th, 2011. 3 months before that, I found my wife was pregnant with our second child. So now I have a baby on the way, and I'm telling my wife I'm leaving this career that I worked in for 9 years, I'm gonna start my own business. And so I had to look at everything that I owned, right? I had 110 pairs of Air Jordans that I collected since I was a little kid. And I had a 1962 Chevy Impala that my wife said I would never get rid of before anything, right? And it sat in our garage our whole entire relationship, and it never really drove because it was a classic, right? You got to keep it clean and nice, So I said, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna follow my dreams of what I want to do. Remind you, I still knew nobody and knew nothing, right? So I joined the Tampa Bay Wave, which is in Tampa. We used to meet at the bungalow down on Kennedy Boulevard. There was just a co-working. We meet at lunchtime, found other like-minded entrepreneurs. At that time, I didn't even have a laptop computer, right? I would print out at my job articles about technology and information. I'd go meet with the other tech guys, and we start talking, and I'd bring out a piece of paper, and they'd look at me like, yeah, fax me that. They make fun of me, right? Because they're all on their computers, I'm like, listen, I just got passion, I got dreams, I want to make money, this is what I want to do. And they're like, all right, fax me that. I'm like, all right, listen, I'm going to get involved, and I'm really going to, make a dent, right? So I got actively involved in the wave, started meeting people, started networking, asking people for help. And I went to an event called Startup Weekend. It happens every year. It was the next month after I quit my job. And I went into that event like, this is my chance to make my name for the tech community and show who I am, right? So we built a team of 11 people, and we went through the whole weekend, and we thought we were going to win. We built an app out. Deborah's husband was actually there, Mitch. He was a mentor. He was helping out, and we lost, right? So I was like heartbroken. I was like, man, my wife's going to kill me. I quit my job a month ago. I'm here, and we lose this event. She's never going to have faith in me or trust me, right? And so I'm at home after Startup Weekend. I had some guys and people that I'd met, programmers and developers and stuff. We were keeping in contact. So there was an event called Gazelle Labs, which was a Techstars Network incubator business accelerator program. We're like, all right, we're going to apply with the idea that we had. And so we applied, but there was still a month in between that time of what I was going to do. So I found myself watching blogs. I found myself watching VC, videos. I found myself just doing everything I could to get those problems solved that you guys were talking about. And I put together this list of goals, what I wanted to do. I was like, run my own business, get on TechCrunch, have a business, get on TechCrunch, have a business, get on TechCrunch, go to California, find VC, the same stuff over and over, right? And so I listened to this one bit of advice, and it said to me, when you ask for money, you'll get advice. When you ask for advice, you'll get money. Right? And so that was something that I wrote down, and it was something I kept sticking with. So I knew from every point then, anybody I met that had any bit of political power in business or anything, I was going to ask them for their knowledge, right? Because I wanted to learn. I wanted to take in as much as I possibly could. So I also, during that time, put together an idea. I was like, all right, what do I love? What's my passion? If this doesn't work out what I did at Startup Weekend, what do I love? I was like, I love kids because I have kids. I love technology. I want to help out. So I came up with this concept called Apps with a Purpose, where basically it was go into hospitals around the area that have kids that can't go home as much, or they go in for dialysis or something like that, and teach them about entrepreneurship and technology. I was like, this will be something I can do, but it's it's not business, it's more philanthropy. But I'm like, this will keep me going. It'll keep something started. So I wrote up a page real quick. I sent it out, and I got a pilot at Tampa General Hospital. So I was like, all right, this is pushing me on my direction. 2 weeks later, I found out we got into the Gazelle Lab program. So now I'm in this Gazelle Lab program with an idea that I pitched. It was called Drop Post It. It was an app that let you leave messages by location that people could pick up when their phone was there. And we eventually transitioned that into gift cards. And so basically we built an algorithm that would basically mine your social network data, and it would determine what's the best place you like to go to. So if I'm your friend, then I know by looking at it, I can send you $20 in a video message that says, hey, thank you, I appreciate it. Pick up your burrito at Taco Bell. Sorry.
I just have
Andy.
a quick question. So it sounds like you're doing so much, Ty.
Yeah, sorry. My story's really long. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No, that's amazing. So are you right now sort of running these multiple businesses on your own?
So I actually crashed and burned.
Okay.
Right? No, so I went through Gazelle, and we couldn't raise our funding, right? And the reason why we couldn't raise our funding is I look back at it, this was 2011, because I still didn't have the experience in the industry I was going after. We're going after gift cards and e-commerce. I didn't have a team behind me that was proven or seasoned, right? So when I was talking to VCs, they want to know what we've done before, so it's a better bet for them. And I didn't have a technical co-founder. I had just a technical person that I paid, right? So, but doing all that throughout that 6 months, there was a person on the Wave board named Steve Tingiris that owned a company here called Prospect Smarter, Enthusum, and he asked me to come on to be their vice president of sales to help grow out their company, and so I signed a contract with him to do that. So I spent 15 months doing that, and then 3 months ago, I decided, all right, what did I learn from before? What network and opportunities can I take this time? And how can I make my opportunity better? So 3 months ago, I launched a business called Up Valet, and I geared it towards the automotive industry because I spent 9 years in the automotive industry. Throughout the past 2 years, I've built up a network of seasoned, professional business people that have proven successful exits, that have done Silicon Valley, that have one of my primary mentors. He's produced over $1 billion in returns for his investors. His company just sold to eBay for $200-something million recently. And so it's like, my advisory board consists of 5 people, and each one of them all have had a successful business, be sold or bought before in the past, and run companies that are $100 million plus in business, so I can learn from them, right? And so that's currently what I'm doing now. I'm back on my own again, but there's a lot of in-between pieces that I could, still fill you on. But the main point of it is that I didn't have money, I didn't have network, I didn't have anything. I had a pregnant wife who was about to have our second child, and I had a mortgage and a house and everything. But if you really want it that bad, right? It's something that you really want, you gotta execute. And as Phil said, you gotta jump out there and do it. You just gotta commit yourself, because if you don't commit yourself, you can be like every other person and have ideas, right? You can sit at home and feel good about your ideas. But until you take that chance and you fall and you fail, you'll never know and you'll never get there. So there's a lot more. If you wanna ask me questions later on, I can help out. Thanks.
I get a question. That's a phenomenal story. First off, you weren't afraid to fail.
No, I'd failed before, so it's,
Yeah,
but you just got to keep getting up. You got to learn from your mistakes. That was the things that I never learned from before. Like before, I was like, oh, it's everybody else's fault and stuff, right? No. It's self-awareness of what you've done before and how you can learn. Like life will give you the same things over and over, maybe in different forms of challenges, but until you can progress maturity-wise and understandment-wise, like to progress yourself past that knowledge to understand it, then you'll never, get to the next level.
One of the things that I've noticed is that the difference between, I think, obviously success and failure is the courage to get out there. When I was Navy, wanted to run for Congress, had never run for office before, had absolutely no contacts whatsoever, no money. And I made the decision, I was in Washington, to resign my active duty career. I finished out as a reservist and come back to Tampa and run for Congress. And again, starting out with a congressional campaign against a guy I'd been in for 30-something years, Sam Gibbons, nice gentleman. I think we debated here. But knew nothing about what I was getting into. And by my second race, I lost the first time, raised over $1 million, came within a 1.5 beating the guy. And I'll tell you what, losing was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because by losing, and I lost 3 times in a row, so I was a serial loser. I'd lost. I used to go teach schools about how to lose elections. I was an expert. I thought I was never going to win. But the beauty was, by losing, I met my wife. If I had won, I never would have met my wife, wouldn't have my kids, and wouldn't know what I know about getting out there and sticking your neck out and not being afraid. And I've done this with transportation and other things that we believe passionately about. You can't be afraid to lose. And you know that when you get out there and you can look at the guys, the folks, the Brad Felds of the world, who I'm a big fan of, the folks that talk about how you become an entrepreneur, Eric Rice and others, a lean startup, you just got to take your idea, toss it out there, expect that you're going to get smacked in the nose, and then just keep at it. And then you turn to, Bob over here, who will help
Bill.
you. What?
Bill.
Bill, excuse me. Well, Bob, Bill, I'm sorry, Mr. Bill. You turn to Bill, and Bill will help you turn it into a good idea. So, Bill, let me ask you a question. You do small business. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a difference, though, between a small business and a startup. I mean, when I listen to Ty and his story, it's very technical. So, how do you help a small a tech company or someone with a tech idea that wants to turn it into something really big fast?
Well, what we would do is sit down with them, kind of get them to flesh out their idea, explain what the concept is, and quite frankly, Mark, after we get a good sense of what the concept is, we move away from the tech idea, because you can talk tech, and get caught up in that, and at some point we'll transition the discussion into, let's talk about some business fundamentals. How do we get this idea to market? Let's talk about market feasibility. Let's talk about financial feasibility. Let's talk about the money side of it. So we would approach it in that manner.
Do you have people then that work with you who have business experience and have started businesses?
Yes. In fact, most of our consultants, one of the prerequisites in coming into our system is number one, having at least a bachelor, preferred, or a master's degree, but they should have owned their own business. I was in petroleum marketing for about 14 years, and helped to scale a company that I went to work for the company. They were losing money, and the owner says, "I'm giving you 1 year to turn this thing around, or I'm selling it lock, stock, and barrel." If you'll pardon the gasoline pun there. And during that course in time, after the first year, we did actually turn it around. And not only did it not lose money anymore, but we turned it into the flagship component of his company and began to scale that. So we went from just a few retail locations to multiple locations. Today, at today's gas prices, the company that I ran would be doing about $60 million a year in sales. In fact, I still own a convenience store today. If anybody wants to buy it, it's over in the center of the state. But and I've also started at least 4 other businesses or purchased existing businesses. So I've done some of the same things. You were talking about one of my startups. It took me 3 months to make the first sale. And I got to tell you that when you're sitting at home, just as you're talking about, and you make that list and you keep looking at it, and you end up going through a rationalization process of, well, you know what, I think I'll wait till tomorrow to call that prospective client. I think I'll clean up my file system or something. And you do that rationalization, but that's not what you should be doing. And that's one of the things that we try to get the attention of that entrepreneur and shake them and say, okay, we got to quit talking. We need action. So we try to help them come up with that action plan. So as I mentioned, it took me about 3 months to make that first sale. And at the time, I was brokering freight services, and this would have been considered technology at the time. This was right around 1999 or around 2000. The internet was still pretty new. We didn't have apps back then, and I was operating my business totally on the web and by telephone. And after that first 3 months and began to get some traction, we were able to do a couple $100,000 a year in sales right through the bedroom of my house. So been there, and I know exactly where you're at.
And are you seeing a lot of people coming to your doors right now who want to start a business?
Yes, we have people coming in every day. We worked with, and let me just throw a number out there. Last year we worked with about a little over 3,600 entrepreneurs on a one-on-one consultation basis. In addition to that, we had over 7,000 entrepreneurs come into our various training offerings. So again, in the 10-county area here in the Tampa Bay area, we see a lot of folks. That's over 10,000 people that we've touched.
Now, the Wave, Deborah, I've walked through there. You should go and visit. Parking can be a little bit of a challenge, but we're working on that problem. But when you get into the second floor of the Sykes building and you see what you're doing, you see they've got the obligatory foosball table and all the stuff that you feel like you got to have now for a cool startup. But what impresses me really are the number of young people who are all sitting together coming up with cool ideas. What type of people do you have in your building right now? What are they doing?
Yeah, when I head back to work today, the average age is actually mid-30s, males in the mid-30s. We range though. He's absolutely right. We have a lot of late 20s, mid-20s, and then, it goes from there. But he's right. I think it is really cool to have a foosball table, and it's really cool to have Mortal Kombat, because we even have like an arcade and ping pong. That's cool. It's fun. But more than that is when you walk in, it's pretty, the goal and what we found that we have been pretty successful in creating is a culture that when you walk in the space, you can feel the creativity and you can feel the collaborative energy. And that's really what our primary goal is, to create this safe environment where, our motto is that there's no excuses. And that's not like a negative, no excuse. It's a positive. Like when something goes wrong, you fail fast and you get back up and you try the next thing. And you keep going. And it's amazing to be a part of the environment, because it's just an incredible amount of ideation that's constantly occurring, and you never know what's going to be created next. And there's a lot of writing on all the walls, and that's pretty awesome. And for me, it's interesting because I'm listening, for Tide, that was my first experience in this community as well. My husband is a serial tech entrepreneur. And so traditionally I was the wife that was at home, what are you doing? Really? But really wanting to be supportive of my husband. And I was at that first startup weekend, and I volunteered for every startup weekend that has been thus far. And I would give them 3 days of my life and just bust my butt to support the community. And that, I'd spend all this volunteer time, and then Monday through Friday, I have my 9 to 5 job where I'm, hustling giant contracts and doing what I was doing at the time. So it's been amazing for me to take something that was a passion project. Like, my involvement in this community has been strictly based on passion and love of the community. And the more people that I meet, the more I'm vested in this community, not just with my husband. Like, these are my friends and people that I very much want to succeed. And then the opportunity to be director of operations at the Wave came to pass because I'm kind of known. I'm a little bit organized. I like spreadsheets. And I like to hustle. So this came to be, and it's just been amazing to have the merging of what was my passionate, side project that I just dedicated free time to actually being like my work life. And it's, but I'm not the only one like that. I'm not the only one that's like taking the flying leap, and even being like not the traditional entrepreneur, which now I got a couple things going on, because once you're in, come and visit us. You'll have your own little, I got something too. Secret.
Phil?
If I may, I think Deborah and Ty brought up a great point, which is I think there's a turning point an entrepreneur goes through, at least I did, which is when you learn the real definition of responsibility. We talked about taking blame and responsibility, but what does that actually mean? For a long period of my life, I thought that responsibility meant taking blame. And actually, if you break down the word, it means having the ability to respond. So when you don't take responsibility for something, you're actually giving your power away to someone else. You're giving away your ability to respond. Once I learned the true definition of that word, it changed my whole drive towards entrepreneurship and life. And I think as a student, we're talking about going out there and just jumping into things, but some of you are like, well, what does that actually mean? Where can I start? I think there's two main things that'll help you start as a student. One, changing your environment. I think you need to surround yourself with people that are better than you, smarter than you, driving harder than you. Because if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. And I learned that very quickly. So changing your environment also means being in every event like this, every startup weekend, every bar camp, every EDI, every Wave opportunity. Every opportunity that's handed to you, you need to grasp it and take advantage of it. The number two thing I think you need to do is apply for every single competition you ever hear about. Because even if you don't have a set idea or a feasible idea, just go and apply for the competition, throw yourself in the fire, and see what happens, and fail.
Yeah, that's the thing, not being afraid to fail. What Bill Gates was asked when he was at Microsoft, what he feared most and what company he feared. And he said, I don't fear the company. I fear the guy that's in the garage coming up with a cool idea that I've never heard about that's going to kick my butt. And it's true. And it's cool. I got young kids. My youngest is 11, my daughter's 13, and I got a son in high school. And we talk every day about basic products, which you wouldn't think would be that exciting, from shoes and Zappos to a taco. And how smart, innovative, creative people have made it exciting and cool. And they're talking about doing things which I think are really neat, changing the world. I got involved in politics because I wanted to change the world. I wanted to do something for good. What I realized when I looked up in DC, and I see it now, is that it's a mess. They're fighting, they can't work together, there's no collaboration. You know what's going to change the world? This right here. It's going to be the entrepreneurs. Hopefully, we'll just kind of, come up with a budget, I pray, and get out of the way. And then let the entrepreneurs take off. But I'll tell you what excites me is when I'm around guys like Ty and Phil and others who are actually building businesses and have an idea. And it could be something as mundane as a shoe. I tell you, my sister who went to Florida State with me, I remember helping her move one time. I've never seen a girl with more shoes in my entire life. How can anyone care this much about shoes? But you know what? What I realized was, I see the ladies, but my wife's the same way. But what's cool is what Tony's done to really make shoes cool and exciting. And now he's got this, he's got a $1 billion company. He's putting hundreds of millions of dollars into Las Vegas and trying to turn the city of Las Vegas around. So what we want you to do is to turn Tampa Bay around. We need you here. We don't want you going someplace else. We want you right here, letting people know about how vibrant and exciting and smart and dynamic this community is. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and can we turn it over to them and have them ask some questions?
Sure, I just wanted to say one thing, because that's great. Yeah, definitely have them ask questions. One of the things we're doing here at HCC, there's a lot of talk.
Yeah, Andy, what's going on?
I don't know what's going on, but I'll tell you what we try to do here at HCC is there's a lot of talk nationally about the competitiveness of the United States as a country because of a lot of global forces that have bear down on it. And I think that's an important discussion to have to kind of figure out where the country is going. But what we're trying to do here is to personalize that kind of concept and talk to students about how they individually can invest in themselves to make themselves more competitive within the marketplace. And entrepreneurship really is the ultimate ticket for that purpose, you know, and that's really what we're trying to instill in our students is this mantra, so to speak, that whatever you're studying, whether it's business or anything, you heard a bunch of people up here who've had varied backgrounds, for you to make sure that you continue to invest in yourself and make yourself as great as you can possibly be is all I can ask for as an instructor, and I think all the community can ask for in terms of your contributions to it. And you know, you hear people up here who have different levels of education, but you hear the same thing, a commitment to being around people who are not good, but people who are great, and people who are making themselves better each and every day. And we try to bring in folks like this so you can meet them, and we try to teach this in our classes. But I feel pretty confident. I have to say, I've only been here for 1 year. I don't know all the students in the room, but the students that I've encountered, I'm extremely encouraged about the prospects for not only our municipality, but our region and the country. I think this is a generation that's going to accomplish some amazing things.
Really cool. We're honored to have you here. Did you want to say something
I
a little bit?
did, because all of you sort of set up the perfect setting. I did a horrible job of explaining Barcamp. Barcamp is almost all of you, except it's going to be 700, 800 people of it. But I mean, everything from the guy who did the original system architecture for Niels Amelia to several PhDs, Gartner keynoters who get paid $250,000 to do a 2-hour speech a year and be available the rest of the year. But more importantly, it's people just like the rest of this panel here. In fact, her husband got involved in this tech community from Tennessee because he came to our bar camp. And so that founded all of his first sets of friends that brought her into all of this. And all the fact of all the people telling their stories of how they stumbled and failed and got up again and what they learned, that's what bar camp is. And by the way, I'm having this problem and trying to use this, whatever this is, this new app or this new technology. Have any of you experienced it? And it's a series of moderated discussions where someone's in the front, but anyone could do a presentation. But really, it's this large sharing experience, and so you can't be wrong, you can't be anything, but it'll give you an introduction to this community of people just like this. So if these are the kind of people, and if you're taken by this kind of conversation, it's a day of exactly this.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I just want to say one last thing on that, because that's a very important point. I think what we also stress to our students is the importance of building your network and how it really does take a network today to be successful, in my opinion, you know, in any field you pursue. And this is a great opportunity for you to expand that network, to make those kinds of connections, so you then have resources to bounce your ideas off of and get valid information. It might not be what you want to hear, or it might be some different way of doing something, but we really try to encourage our students to build their network, build something that can really be powerful for them moving forward and allow them to succeed. So thank you all so much for coming here to share that.
Comment real quick. So the events that I went to all equaled something for me, right? So startup weekend I went to, it gave me the courage and that, you know, that ability to believe in myself. But that's where I met Marvin Scaff, who was the one who was running Gazelle Labs. And he saw my passion and drive at startup weekend to allow me to be in the accelerator program where they gave me seed stage funding, right? When I was going through that. Bar camp, when I went to bar camp, that's where I met Sarah Perez, who is a writer for TechCrunch. When it came time for TechCrunch, who do you think I reached out to about getting my article on the front page of TechCrunch? It was Sarah Perez, right, from bar camp. And you can go to this event at bar camp and you can have anything that you want to talk about and you can just sign up and you can talk. You can have one person sitting in the room, or you can have a whole room just like this, an auditorium full of people, and you can just really go over what your issues and your pains are. But going back to staying in Tampa and growing in Tampa, to me, that's been my goal ever since the very beginning. When I used to meet with them, the Tampa Wave at the bungalow. Shortly after that, because we didn't have a space to go to during just networking and talking to people, one of my friends happened to own a building downtown Tampa, and it happened to give the Wave their very first space in Tampa. Mm-hmm. I'd only been in the Wave 2 months, 3 months, but because I was hustling out, talking, excitement, energy, that I got somebody to donate a whole floor to the Tampa Bay Wave so they could start their journey, and which led to ultimately other things, right? And staying in Tampa is so important to me, and applying for different events. So when I was going through Gazelle, I applied for this competition out in California. It was called VC Bait. And I didn't think I'd get in, but I applied for it. The 2 days before, or we applied at midnight, the night it was due. Like, we got it in at 11:55. 2 days later, I got tickets and everything to San Francisco, and I got to fly out to this conference. Tickets would have been $2,000 a piece. I happened to be at an event, and I'm just talking in the room, just meeting people, right? And I'm talking to this guy. We're going back and forth. Come to find out he's the president of this big company. I had no idea, but we're just talking. And he ended up spending the rest of the 2 days with me out there, showing me around San Francisco, taking an engagement with me, and he's my primary mentor now 2 years later, because I asked him the minute I left San Francisco, I sent him an email. I said, I don't have anything to offer you yet, but the only thing I can offer you is what I want to learn, right? I want to learn and be just like you. I want to be a mover and shaker in the tech community. I want to shake hands with Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, everybody that you have, right? And I want to be like you. You may be 20 years older than me, and you may have made $1 billion in returns for your investors, but I want to be just like you. And he wrote me back. He's like, I don't have a lot of time for this, but you know what? I think there's something about you, and I will. 2 years I've been nurturing that relationship with him and asking him for guidance, right? Now he's helping me build my first company. Like, it's not my first company, my first try it, but this is the first time that I really have legs. I'm in the Tampa Bay Wave Accelerator program, and it's just getting out there and networking, asking for advice, asking for help, you know? And I had nothing to offer, just my passion. That's
You're going
it.
to keep your company here, right?
So yes, so going back to that, sorry. So I recently just got an opportunity from him to actually move my company out to LA to be a part of a program out there called Science Inc. The people that run this program called Science Inc., they are proven people that they were CEOs of MySpace when MySpace was big. They $50 million fund. They do everything with you out there. And to me, all my connections, all my network, the automotive industry, everybody that I work so hard with to build around me is all here in Florida. The primary JM family, who I'm working my product, is in South Florida, and why move all the way out there? But it's like 2 years ago, if you'd asked me to move to California, I had to jump in a second, because it's like, oh, you got to go out to California. It's where the tech is. Right. But I'm passionate about growing something here in Tampa and want to stay in Tampa, because it's an opportunity here to be a big fish, and you can grow and build a lot of business and jobs here in Tampa. And so I'm passionate about staying in Tampa. My mentors and advisors, we go back and forth, because I'm like, man, I could go out there and raise $2 million like tomorrow. But here, I'm committed to stay here, because this is where it's given me my start, and people around me have believed in me enough to keep me going. So it's like I feel like I owe it back to them to build a business here and provide, jobs and new economic ability here in Tampa. So
And one thing, a great idea. I mean, if you got a great idea and you're able to turn it with the help of Bill and others from an idea into a company, the capital will find you. The capital will find you. You got to get out there. You got to find your customers. You got to take that idea and take it to that level. But the capital will find you. And I've read on Enrico Moretti's book, The New Geography of Jobs, which I think is phenomenal. And it talks about where the jobs are going, the high-tech, high-wage jobs. Kaufman just came out with a study a couple weeks ago that talked about net new jobs all coming from your small startups. A company really that's less than 5 years old. All the old companies aren't creating the jobs. They're losing jobs. The county, we run around looking for companies we try to bring from other areas. They're dying. They're looking for tax breaks. We bring them to our community. And what guys like Joel and Joy Randall and others told me was, look, you want to make a difference, you want to grow jobs, you got to start with your startups. The challenge was we didn't know where the startups were. And what we're finding is it's right in front of us. You are the startups. And then the cool thing is you can actually do this. I mean, what is so neat, and what we're seeing in these other cities that we're competing against, like the Boulders and the Fort Collins and the Denvers. What kills me is that those cities consistently and communities consistently rank 1, 2, 3 when you talk about where the greatest places for startups are. You won't see Tampa Bay on the map. We're starting to creep in. We've got a lot of talent. We've got a lot of activity. And like you said, Ty said, you can become the big fish right here. We've got the talent. We've got people here who will help take your idea. Bill promised me, he said, if a good idea, I'll turn it into $1 billion company. Within how long, Bill?
Overnight.
I put him on the spot. Overnight, he promises.
I'll give it to my car.
Seriously, with the accelerators and the incubators and all the people that we've got here, I'm telling you, if you go online and you find them, what I love about this community is that it will fight. I mean, just like I've found that the startup community, like the political community, can fight. But at the same time, they'll fight 1 second and then be working together and collaborating the next. In politics, we don't collaborate. That's why we're where we are, and startups are where startups are. Startups, guys, will collaborate. and build a community. So we're going to build a community right here in Tampa Bay. And I really, Andy, thank you for this incredible program that you've got here and all these guys. But I want them to ask questions. I want them to ask hard questions. So we're going to give.
And I just want to say, it's not me. This is like a collective effort here too. I mean, this is a team effort of all the business faculty at HCC, the administration, the college president. I mean, I'm just like a tiny, tiny little piece, part of that, doing my part. But there's so many people pushing different directions. So it's really a collective effort here in a microcosm of everything you just spoke about. So.
Okay, so raise your hands and you can stand up and just shout out your question. Let's start. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
My name is David, and my question is, I'm actually trying to start a business now with a few of my colleagues and a few private investors, and we're trying to find a location that would be best to start this business in. So would you consider already established community, or like a community that's starting to grow more like a smaller community that they're starting to build more housing developments in? Which one would you consider would be better for a more successful rate?
Yeah, I would say.
Great question, David.
Depending upon the type of business.
Oh, well, it's flipping houses and real estate. So that's the main focus.
Well, you know, one thing that we are finding though, if you're talking about where you want to put your business, and those communities that have really cool urban cores seem to really thrive. Where you can walk, you can be really close to to a cool coffee shop. You've got folks around you that are easy to get to. I would say that our mayor, Bob Buckhorn, is doing an awful lot to make our downtown and the Ybor area a great place to be. And so I'll tell you what, we have a mayor who gets it. He understands. He is doing everything he can do to make our downtown exciting and vibrant. What we're trying to do is to find a way to, I don't want to get off on a transit conversation, but I'm passionate about transit and rail and buses and making sure that we have a way to move people who don't want to have to own a car and bring them together. But our downtown area, our Ybor area, really there's a lot of exciting things going on down there. They're talking about opening up there's an old cigar factory that might become an incubator, we hope, in the not too distant future. But if you look at that Ybor area, there's a lot of neat stuff going on. I'd recommend that area. You can always talk to the county. We've got real estate folks. That's our job. We go out and we hunt down locations for you. So if you've got a good business idea, our goal is to help find the right spot to start your business. But we want you to start it here. Cool, David. So we got another business right there. David's gonna.
But
Yes, sir.
I run a small delivery company. Just started it recently. It's personal shopping and delivery, and I'm interested in producing an app to improve the relationships with customers in my company. But I have no idea how to make an app. So who do I talk to is to start to make something like that?
Not me.
I could meet with you afterwards and help you out with that, but definitely the Wave would be
I'd like to talk to all of you.
would be the way to go with that, because the Wave has over 100 companies involved in it, and programmers, developers, and things like that. So it's great for networking.
Say your bar camp.
Bar camp.
Bar Camp is a great place. Louis, do you have an idea?
Well, to comment on that, when I started my app, I had no programming skills, no graphic design. All I had was paper, pencil, and paper. And the main reason is because the interface design of the app is the most important. Anyone can code, anyone can program, anyone can graphic design. But to put a beautiful image and the way it all connects to one another, that's what's going to take you 6 months to do.
And you can find those people at Joel Bar Camp.
Sorry.
No, but that's what this is about. You're trying to connect you with the town.
Yeah.
Great question.
I would say, I receive this question a lot throughout the year. I would say it's exactly what everybody's actually already touched on. Put yourself out into the community of people that you need. So you go to bar camp, if you don't meet the exact person you think is going to be your designer or developer,
But you ask everyone else you know that you met there.
who would they recommend? And you just make the flying leap that Ty and Phil have spoken about into just getting to know people in that community, and that'll probably lead you to bar camp. It's going to lead you to different meetings at Waves, so you can start to get to know people in the community and find that person that you're like, no, you're the one. I know you're the one. Help me out.
Come to Buddy Brew Coffee. We're there. I tell you what, I walk into Buddy Brew now and I see used to be people just sitting there drinking coffee. Now they've all got their little, MacBooks out. And they're all working away and they're talking and they're collaborating. That's the idea. You come in, you sit down, you start sharing your idea, and pretty soon you got a partner.
That's what I was going to say. I always tell other students that are looking to start a business, if you don't know exactly who to go to, for an idea or a skill, then that means you're not networking hard enough. All it means is you just have to get out there and network.
And look for this, we have a startup map. It's the Startup Guide to Tampa Bay. The county helped put it together. It kind of gives you some ideas of where you can find people to connect with. So if you Google Startup Guide to Tampa Bay, EDI2, it'll pop up. And that's another good way to kind of help direct you. Yes, sir.
Can I take on that one too? Also, your own site, hccfl.edu/innovation. We have the link directly there as well.
Fantastic.
Yes.
We're all collaborating.
We're collaborating.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you, panel. I have an ideal, and my ideal came about because my mother and father was deceased. And as you're aware of being county commissioner, Tampa is the #1 city in the nation for the identity tax fraud scam. And this scam is costing the taxpayers billions of dollars along with credit card fraud. And my ideal is to create a system, an app that will delete this type of fraud from being able to occur. And I have contacted Senator Bill Nelson, and I've even wrote Congresswoman Kathy Castro. And what they wanted me to do was to put a proposal together and come forward and they'll introduce it, try to get the law changed. But I'm like, why would I give you $1 billion ideal for free? You know, I'm talking about billions. And so they asked me to do the proposal, and I said no. But what I needed to do was to be able to get in contact with the people that can help me, like programmers, tech people that's real, you know, like you say, smarter than what I am, you know. But the ideal and the concept is there. And like I said, the fraud is being committed every day, and you're aware of it as being commissioned. And it needs to, like I said, and my ideal can expand not only from that, also over to Social Security. And the reason why, I'm gonna give you a quick scenario. Say I'm getting a Social Security disability check, or I'm getting my Social Security pension, whatever. I leave the country and I'm over in Japan. My money goes to my account, direct deposit. I die. I'm deceased now, but no one never reports it. But yet the funds keep going for 20 years. Imagine if you had 100,000 people. But I can eliminate that with my program. And like I said, I just don't want to give that ideal away for free. But I'm willing to, you know, let the college or whoever come in and help me with it. Because like I figured, like Professor Gold always tells us, you know, education is important. And I figure if I can help somebody else to get an education, you know, that's something good, you know.
Wait.
Well, let me comment on that. First of all, I can appreciate the problem that you're attacking because my wife was recently a victim of identity theft. When we sent in our income tax statement,
found out that someone else had already gotten a refund on it. And the irony is my wife is a vice president of a bank, and she goes around doing talks to Rotary clubs on identity theft and how to prevent it. So it can happen to anyone. But here's where I would, if I were talking with you one-on-one, I would say the app would be the mechanical part of it. What you and I would have a discussion about would be the concept and what is the main ingredient here. What is that thing that that might be proprietary that you don't want copied, and then make sure that we get that protected. I think building the app might even be the easiest part. It's getting out of your head how it's going to actually take place and what is that key element. That's the one thing that you've got to protect.
And Bill, I just want to say, and to have a resource like that you can trust, let's say at the SBDC, where you can walk in, not feel like somebody's going to take your idea and just steal it or anything like that, and know that it's a, you know, it's a highly reputable, safe environment for you to get guidance like that. It is just amazing. We're so fortunate to have that. I mean, don't tell me any of your ideas. Or the government.
On the idea aspect, though, don't be scared to share your ideas, though, either. Share your ideas, because if I gave you guys, I have a journal of ideas right now, right? But the odds of one of you actually going home and saying, I'm going to take my savings and money, I'm going to go out and execute on this, not gonna happen, right? Most VCs and people you're talking about investment, things like that, they're not gonna sign NDAs and all that kind of stuff as well. So you just gotta be open about, you know, really showing your value proposition, what it is, and how you generate revenue. That's another important issue as well, generating revenue.
Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
It's not a really serious question, but I was wondering how you felt when you got on Shark Tank. Do you feel like if you weren't on Shark Tank, that your idea would have blossomed as much as it did, or?
I actually, that idea dissolved, so that's a perfect example, as you always have to be willing to pivot. It doesn't matter what your idea is, it's really what it comes down to is investing in time, investing in Phil and other students. You're investing in the person, not the business idea. You have to, so you have to understand that you're the business, not your idea. And so once you've understood that, you're willing to be as flexible as possible. It doesn't matter if I'm selling Ty's idea, my idea, another student's idea. I know it's going to work because I'm a part of it. And once you have that mentality, it'll completely change your life when you're an entrepreneur.
Paul Graham, who's got Y Combinator out in California, talks about that a lot. They'll invest in a small group, and the idea can be awful, but they love the people, and they say these guys are going to succeed, and that's all the difference. And you can see it in this room here. Everybody looks eager and ready to go.
On that note, I can sorry.
No, go ahead. No.
Sorry. On that note, though, I can tell you a story about Instagram, right? When that was first created, Kevin, he raised money, right? He raised money. He was given $250,000 from an investor, but he had no business yet, really an idea. He had an idea, but there was really no business. And when they didn't reach their milestone, the investor, basically just said, hey, I know he'll figure it out. He'll figure something out. And it wasn't until he was on a vacation with his girlfriend that they were talking about taking photos and changing the actual spectrum, everybody knows Instagram, how it works now. But he raised $250,000 because the investor believed in him, right? And his ability to succeed. So he didn't really have a business or an idea so much yet, but they knew he'd figure it out eventually because they're investing in him. Now, sold to Facebook for $1 billion.
Good question.
You guys brought up Startup Weekend, which seems like a great program, but after looking into it, it looks like you have to book your reservation like 3 or 4 months in advance in order to become part of that weekend. Are there any similar projects that are going on in the Tampa Bay? No, it's not true.
No, they usually have tickets all the way up until the day of the event, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And I just want to say on that, we are working closely with one of the league coordinators, this woman, Susie Steiner. She spoke here last spring, and we're going to host a startup weekend here at HCC, either in the spring semester at some point then, or the following fall. So we'll actually have one here.
She's currently serving on the business advisory board for us, so we have a good relationship.
And just to give you a quick story about her, when I first got here, I went onto LinkedIn. I didn't know anybody in the community. I just start typing in entrepreneurship, and I see her name kind of popping up a lot, so I just contacted her. I never met her, and she gets right back to me. She's like, hey, you got to come down to this place, Tampa Bay Wave. I'll introduce you to some folks. So I go. And then one thing led to another. We have now a internship program for the students to track into. We have all of these awesome people that are willing to take up their valuable time to come and speak with you. And sometimes you have to, like they're saying, you have to just be proactive. Just get out. There's no harm in asking, communicating, reaching out, and trying to just get in touch with folks, even if you don't know them. Here, you're going to get to know people, but sometimes you just got to randomly go up to people, even if it's virtually, and it can lead to so many great outcomes. Everett, you had your hand up for something. Do you have a question? No? No.
Sure.
I had a quick question. You say you have all these business ideas and you have to learn to pivot. So I think one of my issues would be I want to kind of stay in the same passion I'm looking at. So for healthcare kind of thing, I want to kind of stick to that. Would you recommend, say, if my ideas keep getting shot down or something else or keep going, would you recommend to kind of join a team in that area and kind of stay there, or would that be kind of a setback?
The Lean Startup is a great book that Commissioner Sharpe brought up. There's a mentality called pivot perseverance. So for any business I'm involved in, I have monthly meetings called a pivot perseverance meeting, which is where you discuss with your team members or someone that you trust, maybe a mentor, and you decide whether to pivot here or to persevere. So that's kind of a balancing approach, but puts it into a systematic format that leads you to success. That's the short answer.
Let me also comment on that. You know, the idea of pivoting is important, but it doesn't mean totally pivoting out of your idea.
What I think you'll find, or at least it's been my experience with my own startups as well as working with people like yourself, is that your idea hardly ever, the successful ones hardly ever end up the way you originally planned them. You have to make adjustments along the way, and that's part of the process. So I think what Phil's saying is be ready to make that adjustment, or else you might miss an opportunity.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Ronnie. I'm a veteran, and for those that are interested in entrepreneurship and don't have the skills, do you have a program that we can come and learn about entrepreneurship?
Starting in the spring, we have a 12-credit, one-semester certificate program in entrepreneurship that you'll be able to complete in one semester. And I think the framework for that will be using not business plan development, but the business model canvas will be threaded throughout all 4 courses, which you'll learn all about in those courses. And by the end, you'll have some sort of workable business model that will represent how your business would function in the real world. So definitely talk to me afterward, and we'll be able to get you enrolled in that if that's something you want to do.
I guess I'm saying that though. For like skills, what do you mean skills? Like what skills don't you feel you have?
Well, basically learning the ins and outs about the business and learning how to develop the business and ideals and about how to get, start up and things like that.
I mean, I can appreciate the opportunity for the program, things like that. There's nothing that's excellent, right? I mean, but my first bit of advice I'd say on that, just get out there and start going, right? If I had to look back and said, what skills don't I have? Great. I can't program. I don't really do PowerPoint that great. Excel, please, come on. Everything, right? But you can go to Odesk. You can go to all these different outsourcing, right? You can get everybody to do everything for you, right? When I make my calls to businesses now, I don't do it. I go on and I pay somebody $10 for every one that they'll get somebody on the phone for me, right? And because your time is the most valuable asset you have, right? If I spent my whole time learning how to program, learning how to do PowerPoint, learning how to do Excel, right? I'd still be sitting back in a dead-end job that I could not take the worst, right? But I went out and I just started talking. And finding people that could do all the things that I couldn't do. And that's what we talk about with the team, is finding people that are passionate, but also can go against your ideas so they can give you valuable feedback because you want to be able to take that feedback, but also surround yourself, like Commissioner Sharpe was, smarter people around you. As Phil said, smarter people around you. I'll be the first one to say, I'll be like, man, you're way smarter than me. I have no problem saying that, right? But I'm way smarter in this aspect, right? And that's what it's all about. I mean, it's all about the flesh and mesh of getting everybody together and becoming a team, a group of one,
I think that we should tack on to what you just said there. By the way, I'm Professor Curley. I work with Professor Gold, part of building the entrepreneurship program that we're going to be offering in the spring. And what's unique about the certificate program that we have designed is that during the first part of it, your introduction to entrepreneurship, we're having them do just that. This is not a program where you are going to listen to he and I talk and you take notes and leave. We're going to be pushing students out to start testing those ideas. Everything that you were just talking about is basically incorporated into all 4 courses within this program using the business model canvas. So just thought that was important to say because it's a little different than a university type of entrepreneurship program.
And it's going to be a cohort format, so there'll be a lot of that collaborative sharing, people moving along together and exchanging ideas. So we think, we're really excited about it. We think it's going to be great for the students.
And it's also just exciting because what we're finding is that those areas where you're seeing this explosion in startup activity is where you've got great universities. It's where you've got great colleges, where that's where it's kind of the idea factor, the idea lab. And so I want to thank you guys for what you're doing here because I'll tell you, San Jose Community College is pumping out a lot of millionaires, and there's no reason why Hillsborough Community College can't be the one that makes it happen. Exactly, we're going to beat San Jose.
Hear that in?
That's our plan.
Yeah, along with yourself.
Professor Gold, I'm sorry, this is from Professor Gold. The ones who are already entrepreneurs, this certificate is good to take it.
Well,
We are allowed to do it,
Yeah, you have a business, you have a tattoo business with your husband, and it's really scaling up and you're doing well. You've talked to me about some of the struggles that you've had there. So yeah, for you, this is going to be a perfect program. You have a business, you're going to be able to take what we're doing and refine your business model that's actually in the real world and make it that much more efficient and learn about how to deal with some of those challenges.
Thank you. Actually, sorry.
No.
I have, I'm already an entrepreneur with my husband. We have two business. It's one, he's been open already 3 years, very successful. I'm very proud of that. But the second business is a develop of the first one. It's getting us kind of behind, and we are struggling with the second one. So how we can figure it out? It's not, the typical business, you open a store or something like that. We own a tattoo shop, and we develop an aftercare and all the products for that type of industry. So this is not like a typical business, store. So it may be different.
And it's a good example of what they talk about adapting to your you had your core business, then you developed a new product, and you're doing all of the really cool things.
But the second one is really giving us a problem right now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because obviously that's not necessarily directly tech related, but I can already think of a couple people that I would recommend for product development. So just get,
Small business, I'm sure your office.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to mention that I'm going on my 7th year with the Small Business Development Center, and I've worked personally one-on-one with right at 1,000 people over that time. And that's been my lab, if you will. And I've watched people come and go. I've talked to them, interviewed them.
And what I found is that, as a startup, you all go through the exact same process. You all have almost identical problems and hurdles to try to overcome. And so we also see the exact same mistakes occur over and over and over and over. So part of my job is to provide an intervention so that you don't make that exact same mistake that all the people that came before you made. So that's one of the components, one of the advantages of working with a consultant. And again, to tag on to what Andy talked about from a vetted source, and that's one other comment I want to make is when you Google entrepreneurship, there's going to be all kinds of stuff that comes up, and a lot of resources, and I will tell you that not all of them are credible. So just make sure that you are working with a credible resource that's well known in the area, whether it's HCC or whether it's the WAVE, whether it's USF Small Business Development Center. Just be careful that you don't get taken advantage of on the web, because there's a lot of folks that want to separate you from that capital that you've accumulated.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a veteran, but I'm working on reaching out to PTSD, wounded warriors, soldier or spouses with deceased soldiers. Also, I'm looking into branching into families that have dealt with cyberbullying and whatnot. My thing is, my husband's still in. We're always moving and getting established somewhere. I've looked into partnershiping, but sometimes I'm with other people that have different ideas. How do you kind of deal with always moving, trying to get settled somewhere?
Is it a brick and mortar? Is it a brick and mortar business?
Well, I'm doing. I want to go more towards like social organization, nonprofit. So, and that's the hardest thing. Like, I know we'll have to do online stuff, but branching out to these people and like trying to do my networking, that's been the hardest thing. Like getting networks here and the networks in Oklahoma where we're stationed. And
Well, I would hope that your program on the 28th of October.
26th.
Yes. I think 28th is going to be the bar camp. September 26th of October could help. Having spent 20 years in the Navy and having traveled a lot, I know it can be a challenge, and thank you for your service, and thank you, sir, for your service. The great thing about this community, though, is that we've got a large veteran community, and they really do want to work together. USF has got a phenomenal program for veterans. In fact, the University of South Florida was ranked as one of the top universities in the nation for veteran outreach. And so there are a lot of folks just like you who are going through the same things, but I'll tell you what, there's a demand for veterans. Because, as we say, if you can build a school in a war zone, you can build one here in the United States. If you can undertake the stress that you get going overseas, doing your job, those are the type of people that you want working right here. And so there are a lot of companies at Silicon Valley. In fact, 2 weeks ago, Sunday, New York Times had a great story about how Silicon Valley was looking for veterans. They wanted them because those are the type of people who can handle any stress.
and they're bringing them into their companies. And so there's a demand for people as employees, and I think starting your business, you'll find a lot of support in this community for veterans who want to start up a business. We'll get you connected.
Great proof that a veteran can do it is a veteran that I went to school with, University of Tampa. So definitely look into your school program because they're going to help you out. He is now in New York. He was on the cover of Wall Street Journal, Paul Zoldra. He started the Duffel blog, which is the military version of The Onion, and now he's writing for Business Insider. So that's proof right there that veterans can do it no matter where you are in the country or the world, and just follow your school's program and they'll help you out.
I just want to say that we've got so much support in the community for what we're doing. In particular, this event on October 26th for veterans, both who are students at HCC and non-students, to invite them on campus. We have sponsors that have graciously committed towards scholarship opportunities for students to track into and complete a certificate in one semester. We have these awesome connections that we can then turn those folks over to continue to scale your business. So we think we've got a lot going on for veterans here, and we're really excited about all of that stuff. Do you have one more question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really into serial entrepreneurship as well. I have a lot of ideas I would love to get out there. I'm wondering, what's the best course of action to take? Should I just focus on one thing at a time, like the company I have now, or should I try to, get out there with more things and try to get as much done as possible?
I would look for the one that has the best business model, or problem that you want to solve, right? From my experience learning, the first app I launched was called Tag Text, where people text message by license plate. It helped with my journey, right? Because it got me on a lot of local radio stations here, and they were talking about that 2 years ago I did it, but there was no revenue model behind it, right? So when you're trying to raise money for that, this is not Silicon Valley, right? My next one, when I went through Gazelle Lab, was drop posted. It took 300,000 users to generate $1 million of revenue, right? So when you're talking to VCs, it's like, hey, I need 500,000 of your money so I can lose it for the next 2 years, right? And then I'm gonna raise another round, and I'm gonna be $2.5 million in debt before I can possibly get enough customers to make $1 million, right? So this time around, I was like, all right, if I'm gonna do this again, I saved up enough money again. I told my wife, hey, listen, I'm gonna leave my job again. I'm gonna go back out and do this again. I said, how am I gonna have the best business model? So the model that I have now, it takes me 34 customers to generate $1.3 million in revenue, cool. Right? 34, so that's a lot better than 300,000. So it's honing in on the best possible opportunity and the best possible opportunity that will get you to where you need to be, right? So you just gotta figure out where you wanna be. And I mean, there's great feeling to say, oh, I'm a serial entrepreneur, right? But that can be scary too at the same time, because you got to be able to focus and you got to be able to dedicate towards that one, commitment. Because as Phil said, you can have a lot of shiny objects and stuff too, and you can get sidetracked, right? And you can want to do a lot of things. Or Phil said to talk about tech, right? You can talk about tech all day and do that, but you really got to focus on what you want to do and get to that, because it feels good to talk. You just got to execute.
There's a great quote that poor people invest in money, rich people invest in time. And if you watch Shark Tank too, you'll find out how the sharks feel about you having other businesses other than the one that you're pitching to them. And that'll give you some guidance on whether or not you should be focused on. Yeah. You really need to be spending your time. Kevin Trudeau, he's a high school dropout and made $1 million before 18. He says that you need to have a laser focus on your idea. And people will usually argue with him, like, well, look at Donald Trump. He's in so many different ventures. Well, that's true, but at the time he started his first business, he had laser focus and obsession with that one idea. Once that had become successful, then and only then did he move on to another business. Then he put laser focus into that one. So you can be a serial entrepreneur, but you got to start with one at a time.
I just had one final question, then we can wrap it up. I get a lot of students who talk to me about their ideas, and their motives for wanting to pursue those ideas oftentimes is the prospect of making a lot of money, which I understand. But I want to hear from you folks if that's the reason why you engage in what you do. Is it money first, or is it the excitement over what it is you're trying to do, the problem you're trying to solve, or is it money first, and you say, oh, I think I can make a lot of money off of that, I want to go for it, or is it the idea first that you're just excited about?
I have one great YouTube video for this. Simon Sinek, What's Your Why? If you watch that, that'll answer all your questions.
What is it?
Simon Sinek, What's Your Why? It's a TED Talk. You can find it on YouTube.
So like when you started yours, was it for the money?
No, it was for the lifestyle. I wanted the lifestyle, to be able to, pick and choose what, I wanted to have control my own destiny. I mean, that's really what it came down to for me, right? And obviously, money is important, right? Because we want to be able to provide and have, nice things. But I mean, it's the lifestyle. I like the lifestyle and the opportunity to be able to, also what I need to really help.
Passion, 100% passion.
All right.
If you don't love what you do, then you're not going to do it, and you're not going to overcome all the obstacles that are going to face you when it comes to the long-term success and sustainability and scalability of your business.
And I want to echo that because I remember starting a business one time because a guy told me, "Hey, Bill, you can make a lot of money doing this." So I thought, great, let's jump on it.
And so I did. I launched that business and made good money, but I hated it. And after a couple of years, I went, you know what? I want to go do something I like doing, and I also want to mention, the lifestyle as well would be, one of the reasons for doing that. So you do need to like what you do. Don't just go after it just for the money. It's important, but not just for the money.
All right. I want to end the session here because these folks have other places to do, other obligations they have. I want to thank everybody for coming today, for your questions, for all that you're doing as students and as members of our community. I really want to thank the four of you for coming. Thank you so much.